Live. Almost. Hey, Les.
Hi, how are you? Good to see you today. How you doing, Miss Marla?
Well, let's see. I just finished doing my Instacart order because I'm making dinner for my parents. The holidays are coming up, and I'm just trying to get it all done.
It's a crazy time. And the great part is my daughter just finished all her work literally 5 minutes ago. So now we can actually go do some holiday shopping, which is great. We're really excited. And that's why I'm so glad to be here with you today. And we get to talk about difficult conversations, even though you have a small pod. Actually, maybe it's worse when you have a small pod, right?
It's a small pod, but this year has been so politicized that within my family, there are different camps, and I don't care which camp they're in. I just want
It doesn't matter. It's tough. It's tough. Yeah. We're all struggling. And yesterday it's funny, I almost stumbled into a conversation that I didn't want to be in with somebody who I admire so hugely. She's a scientist, she's totally brilliant. And we wandered off before an event like this, and we just started talking about politics, and I found out, like, we may be in a divide. I had no idea. And so I quickly wandered back off. So the question is, let's just tell everybody why we're here and who we are, just for those of you who don't know. I'm Lesley Jane Seymour, and I'm the founder and CEO of Covey Club, which is an online, offline platform for women 40 plus like us. And of course, you all know my wonderful friend, Marla Wynne Ginsburg, who is one of the funniest people I know, one of the most honest, direct people I know, and just a brilliant reinventor of all sorts. And the reason why we're doing this is to just have some of those conversations out loud that we know you're all having. And they're difficult, they're not easy. And Marla and I talk about them. We talk about them with our friends, but we don't know how to get them out there. And I think part of the thing is knowing you're not alone, right?
Les, one of the things that's so great about this is you've been a magazine editor for so many years, right? And More Magazine being the last of the great magazines that you edited, and you were the editor in chief. And all those things that we used to be able to read about and discuss, now all this info is coming to me through the internet, which I love, but it makes me crazy because people believe everything they read, me included.
Yeah, well, me too.
And
right.
this idea about, okay, we're all gathering in this strange, crazy world. It happened at Thanksgiving. I'm with my immediate family. My mom invites a friend. The friend isn't comfortable that we're not wearing masks. We all think we're safe, right?
Right.
And by the way, not as a political statement, it was just her Michigan. She wanted to, and I've got these big open areas. And bottom line is, the entire household started to divide up into political pods.
Right. Right.
Mask old people, the young liberal people. Guess who ended up with COVID? All the young kids. And
wow.
then
Horrible.
So that happened, right? And then there's the politics of it all. And I feel like no matter who you are and what you talk about, we all are tiptoeing around this. But even in its best case, the holidays are like wonderful and, to me, anxiety ridden, because there just always seems to be like the drama of the season. And right. This year, I don't want any drama. I can't take another.
No, I think we're exhausted. Don't you feel? Yeah, think we're all exhausted. We don't want any more drama. And you know what people suggest? I mean, there are all kinds of, I've been down this road because we've done stories on it on Covey Club before. There are techniques for getting around it, but specifically in the holidays, what people suggest, first of all, I think you have to have whatever your masking policy is laid out ahead of time so people know when they come. And you might have separate rooms. Maybe there's a room where people are unmasked, and then there's a masked room if you want to do that. but maybe letting people know ahead of time. And one of the other things that people suggest is that you actually pull out some games this year. It's very hard to be divided. There are so many fantastic games out there. If you've ever played Cards Against Humanity,
Oh my goodness.
there is no way you will be divided.
So my kids got me into it. And I have to admit, it is funny, but I'm just warning you, if you're prude, don't
You
play
can't be a prude. No, you might end up with the prudes in one room.
with your kid.
But it's a wonderful thing to play, especially if you have older kids and if you have adults. Look, if you're really worried, it's pretty X-rated, but you could go in there and take out some of the really X-rated.
You know what? Come on, let's get down and have fun.
But it's really fun. That's just one game. There's tons of games out there now that you can buy, and you can even do cards, you can do charades, you can do whatever. But try to not just leave it so that you're having conversations. You can do puzzles. Everybody's been doing a lot of puzzles, big giant puzzles. Maybe you bring in one, lay it on one of the tables, and people get together and they work on it. And look for things that can actually bring you together, because it's going to be hard. This is look, we are a very divided community right now, even within our households, and we have to figure out how to repair that, right?
It's been a really interesting thing for me, particularly because of what I do, because I'm on TV all the time. And I have customers from both sides of the aisle and all over the country.
Me too.
And it's been fascinating to me, the responses to letting people into my home and into my life, right? Like one woman who I respect so much, but she was very upset that I have a Christmas tree and I'm Jewish. And I really
Wow. Yeah.
when my son saw her note, he was kind of like, well, this one. And I was like, no, I am so interested in people who don't think the way I do. I know how I think. I don't need to hear it. I am so fascinated by anybody who comes from the opposing side, right? Of whatever it is. And I'm so curious as to what they believe in, what they see, and what they think. And that's not always a successful strategy. In this case, it was a very fulfilling back and forth that this woman and I had, because of her background. Mine's very different. We have in our family Muslims, Christians, Jews, white, black, orange, pink. We are a very inclusive family due to time and marriages, etc.
Sure. So are we. Yeah.
And with that also comes everybody's political belief systems. And I am still trying, and maybe you can help me with this, or if somebody out there has a suggestion. I don't think we solve the conflict by avoiding it.
No, I agree. Running and hiding from it is not. I agree. That's
like,
not
I
how
don't
you're
know
going to get
which
there.
side of the aisle you're on. Okay, the Democrats won right now, but this party has got to get out there and talk to the people, that almost 50% of the country that disagrees, because whether you agree or you don't agree with either side, it doesn't matter. What matters is that we're a country divided, and I don't want to be a family divided. So I'm looking for suggestions, because in my family, we have both. We have staunch Republicans and staunch Democrats, and I want to understand everybody. Obi-Wan Kenobi. But I think there is, and you and I spoke yesterday about Krishnamurti, which I thought was such years and years and years ago, there was a movement called the Theosophy, and this young man was raised to be their religious leader and went to Oxford, et cetera. And in the end, he said, no, I can't be your religious leader. And the bottom line to why was that belief systems, whether religion or politics or how to decorate your house, if I believe in a certain thing, then that means I empirically think you're wrong.
Right.
Now,
yeah, that's saying there's only one pie.
And so I work very hard. I guess I'm a bit of a Jew boo, which means a Buddhist Jew.
Oh, it's like you. What is that? Okay.
Jew.
Okay.
I work very hard I do have beliefs, actually. So I'm a hypocrite also, by the way, but I have beliefs, but I am very committed, not to convincing you that I'm right and you're wrong, but to understand and observe other belief systems. And my family shuts down when it comes to any of these difficult conversations. except in the smallest of small groups where we know we agree. It's the part of my family that doesn't agree that I'd like to learn. And I really welcome anybody's suggestions. How do we deal with these conversations?
Well, actually, we do an awful lot of what do you want to call it, coaching within the Covey Club. We have events like this where we'll have 20, 30, up to 60 people on, and we do various coaching discussions. And our coaches really walk us through all kinds of conflict resolution. We have a big one coming up. I think it's on the 22nd, right before Christmas, which is about how to have these difficult conversations. And they're going to walk us through the coaching. So anybody can come join. You can go to coveyclub.com and sign up and join. There are techniques, and your technique there of asking questions is actually one of them, because we've been through this already with them for various things. But what they call it is, it has to be really sincere questions. It can't be, did I catch you in the room with, Dr. Plum holding the knife? It can't be that, that kind of closed question. It's not really a question, right? Sorry about that. I don't know what that is. It is really about, now I just lost my train of thought. Sorry there. But it's a
question that's looking at a hidden attack.
Yes, you have to ask real sincere questions. If you are actually sincere, and if you are actually curious, what they call it is ultimate curiosity. If you really ask with curiosity and not with judgment, you can actually get somewhere, and you can actually kind of learn where people get their ideas and their information, but you can't be judgmental. And that is one way. It may lead you into a conversation that, in the end, you still find that you just have to say, okay, well, we disagree. You have different facts than I have, or different whatever, but I'm so glad to understand how you got there. And, I got there through a different route, so that's okay. It's an interesting way. If you are really curious about people, and I know that you are, and I am, and a lot of people watching today are, I call them lifelong learners. We're always trying to figure people out. We're always trying to understand, and I think if we look at this time of, holiday as a time to actually individually try to repair all these rifts. I mean, I know friends who the brothers and sisters can't talk. And I think, I call it the spoon theory, which is, if we're all stuck in jail and you can't get out, but everybody has a spoon, if we all start digging individually, eventually there's going to be a big tunnel, So if we work on it individually, I think we can help repair this giant rift that's out there. I know that may sound very Pollyanna-ish, but I definitely think we can. I really believe in the wonders of what one individual can do. I mean, all my years of editing magazines have taught me that.
The thing you said that I think is really important, and I know because I had a conversation with my daughter the other day, and it was like, Mom, don't judge me. And I'm like, I'm not. And I realized, no, I'm absolutely judging you, and I'm very upset with you. And I am totally judging you because we see this differently. And then I kind of sent myself to my room because I don't like those judgy moments, right? But I find that in those moments where I can be totally present without judgment, not easy for me. My job is about judging. I like this color, not I believe this works.
Right.
That's what
we
I
have
do.
to defend our judgment. We have an interesting question here.
Oh, Jason has a question for us.
Catherine wants to know.
Catherine wants to know.
Yeah.
Respect a person's right to their own opinion while not respecting the decision they make.
Ooh, that's a good one. Did you hear that, Lesley?
I think say it louder, because I don't think. You want me to read it? I'll read it here. I can see it.
Their own opinion while not respecting the decision they make.
To respect their opinion, but not the decision they make.
Right.
Well, that's a really good one.
Yes, but I think that's a good. I think that's a good one, and I think absolutely you can. Yeah, and Joanne is saying she thinks so also. I definitely think that you could separate those two, and people make different decisions off of the same item. I mean, just think about everything that we see. I have my lipstick. it's one lipstick. You may have one opinion about it. I have another opinion about it, right? It's still the same lipstick. So what's the difference between an opinion about the same item? It's the same fact, but you may have different decisions that you make depending on what your belief system is.
You know, one of the women in my life who I miss, and we have to reach out to her, JJ, is my friend Fahada, who is from Saudi Arabia and raised in a Muslim family, educated here in the United States, and has saved me on more occasions with her wisdom. And very, very different backgrounds. And yet she is one of the most accepting people I've ever met. And we went through the whole thing, like Muslims, Jews, the Quran, the blah, blah, blah. She's so much more educated than me. And she broke something down for me that, because with extreme anything, religion, politics,
Yeah.
opinion, extreme anything is very, for me,
Difficult. Yeah.
I don't, because it becomes an extreme belief system. And she talked about, you know, that at the end of the day, all people want healthy children, a decent roof over their head, food on their table. We strive for happiness. So these essential human needs are endemic, regardless of politics and religion.
They're identical.
Get us into such hot water, right? All the time. And if we can just remember, like, I try and remember this all the time. When I'm in New York, I always carry extra dollars in my pocket, dollar bills. Why? Because you see these homeless people and you realize that's someone's baby. That's
Yes.
That's
As a mother.
someone's hopes and dreams and prayers. And I
Yes.
can't judge how they got there. Was it drugs? Was it money? Whatever. That is someone's child. And those moments when I stop and speak to a homeless person without judgment, because I know it wasn't their life plan. I think I'll grow up and be homeless. This is nobody's life plan.
Right. Correct.
So it's very easy not to judge, I think, in some way. But when I actually talk to these people, oh my goodness, stories I've heard and the things I've learned, and these momentary coincidental passings of two lives that are unforgettable for me. And then sometimes I think I'm less generous with the people in my own life in just where they're at, right?
Yeah. We don't treat them, we treat them differently, and we expect them to understand and to think like us. And, you know, this is a time where we're going to have to be extra special, open, you know. And the other thing that I think is, we're not getting together that often right now because we don't have the ability to, and it may be another 6 months. So maybe what you do is you suspend the need to make any points, you know, just for the next 6 months, you know, like maybe we just say, who cares if I lose the conversation?
Yeah, you know, there's only, as far as I'm concerned, there's just one thing to win in the world right now, and that's COVID.
Yeah, I agree. Totally.
Conversations at other people's table. I mean, for me, for my family, it's definitely the Republicans versus the Democrats, for sure.
It's political, yeah.
I'm wondering at other people's table, what are difficult questions, you know?
Oh, like, so let's ask everybody. Go ahead and put it into the comment section because we can see that. What are the difficult questions that you're being asked, or you think you're going to be asked this holiday season? Would be interesting to see.
It would be really interesting to see, because, for example, I remember if you had gay family members, that was
my God, was that a huge issue? Yeah.
80s, oh, so-and-so just came out. Now it's like, bring your wife, you say to the bring your dog, like bring anyone, anything you love, just love. In our home and our world, like, they got over that, right? Then I chose to be, you know, the father of my children is not Jewish. So for my family, it was like,
that was a big deal.
So that was a big subject of conversation for quite some time. Loved him. And then they were like, I mean, when we broke up, I think they wanted to keep him, not me.
Oh, well, there you go.
You know, this is so we as a family kind of got over all those were big questions in different moments of time.
Yeah. I think, look, it's going to be fraught. It's going to be difficult. I think a little bit of diversion is not a bad idea. I don't know that we should all feel that it's our obligation to wander into politics or into those difficult conversations. And I'd love to hear, put into the comments, guys, if you want to have us talk about a particular conversation that
Us, because I'm really curious. I am so curious as to what people think and what are the difficult conversations in their homes right now. You know, in the beginning, it was to mask or not to mask. That is the question.
right.
Oh, somebody wrote, Adela wrote something wonderful, Lesley. Someone I heard recently said that we have to see
Yeah,
people as
beautiful.
souls, not their politics, not their color or gender or where they came from, but souls. And it will be easier to understand each other. We are all here to learn something in this world. We have to have compassion. I love that. Thank you for that comment, Adele. That is so beautiful. And I think so right on the money, which is kind of going back to that whole issue of non-judgment and
Right.
acceptance. And by the way, if you look at not profoundly radical points of view about religion or politics, it is really when we come together. Listen, we're human beings and we are always, I mean, a conflict is part of the human condition, unfortunately. I mean, let me put it this way. I don't think I'll live long enough to see peace on earth, goodwill towards all men.
Right.
But that we judge by color of skin, by education, by affluence, by religion, by politics. This this has to stop. We have to learn to live together.
So Joanne saying she's noticed and experienced that during this time, people are asking each other how they are managing to make it through. And that often leads to conversations about different religions and God. And for people to approach each other on those topics, politics, trust is crucial. I think that, that is one of the discussions we've been having in the Covey Club. One of the big opening discussions today with people is to actually say, how are you? And how are you really? Not the old, how are you standing in line and, oh, I'm so busy. And the really, how are you? And then what you do, and again, this is another technique that we learned, then you shut up for 3 minutes. Silence for 3 minutes is very hard, but listen to the other person and see if you can hear them. And that will probably be one of the most valuable 3 minutes you had with anybody. And that is to get through this time, to really hear people out and to really hear them and to talk to their souls in many ways. That's another technique that can be used. And don't use the question as a waiting time so you can tell them how you are. Really be almost as if you're taking notes. And you say, how are you really? Really is the key word.
Yes, and I think because it's a throwaway most of the time. Oh, hi Les, how are you?
Yes.
I called because blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
And I think that there was a wonderful quote that we put up on our webpage, which is, we are all in the same storm. Some are in yachts, some are in boats, some are in canoes.
Yes.
Drowning. Be kind.
Yes.
And
A good
it's
slogan.
we're all in this. That is one. There's a lot I hate about this time, like loss of life right at the top of it.
Scary.
Something fascinating to me about the fact that we are sharing as a world.
Right.
We are sharing the same experience. Now, if as human beings, we can't tap into a greater sense of humanity in sharing what is so clearly a reminder of the fragility of the human condition,
Right.
then really these lives are lost for nothing. And this period of isolation is done with a kind of deafening silence against your soul. This is a time to understand the common threads of our humanity. And when you go to the table this holiday, with however many or small that you're celebrating with. My greatest wish really is to know my family more, because I haven't lived here since I was 18, to be a part of their community and to understand the things I don't understand.
Right. Well, I think that's how we can look at this holiday season. I think that's a really profound way to do it. Look, I've often wondered at the worldliness of this whole thing. I mean, how, even with the recession, the Great Recession, it started here and then it went there. People were suffering at different points. It had an evolutionary kind of feeling. Nobody was in it at the same time. What's so crazy about this is we are all in this at the same time. It's a fascinating wackadoodle. I mean, it's
It's
almost like a world war.
a
Right.
world.
Yeah, it's like it is a world war of a different type. And we are all mutually, when I talk to my friends around the world through email or they hop on an event call or a Zoom, they're all feeling the same thing. And that's pretty amazing if we can get to a common understanding from that. We've all been commonly wounded, right? So maybe we can heal together or use each other to heal. And but I really do encourage people to use that question, which is, how are you really? And then stop talking. Even keep a little, if you can keep your phone on for 3 minutes and see if you can get the person to talk for 3 minutes. It's a really interesting technique. And you'd be shocked at how long 3 minutes seems and how much you want to get in there and tell them how you are. But that's not the thing.
Or judge what they're telling you so that you can give them advice. When you realize, like, you can't help anyone's loneliness or loss or sadness. Actually, just being there is
Yeah,
really.
well, there's a lot of that. I think, you know what, Marla, don't you think that's what we've learned through this? Is
Totally.
that some of it is just being there. I mean, I don't know about you, but I started calling people. I just call them. I'm not making any more of these damn.
Oh, please, can we talk
scheduling
about that?
calls. I'm just freaking calling you.
It's like, this is a
I'm
phone.
not going to schedule you. I'm going to call you, and you can pick up.
Talk to me. I'll leave you a message.
Yeah. So
One more.
wonderful.
Time. By the time it takes me to set up a time to talk to you, I could have been done talking to you, because it takes me way longer than 3 minutes. It's a phone.
But I think it's a really, and I think we're still in this period, and I think it gives everybody an excuse to do this. And for those of you, we won't be back doing this until January, so it'd be interesting to hear what your experiences are. But I encourage you to, you've done this already through COVID, but pick up the phone and just call an old friend. Just call. I talked to somebody who was a good friend of mine in the cosmetics business, who was like a mentor. I hadn't talked to her. I've seen her online, haven't talked to her in 25 years. She and I hopped on the phone. She goes, put on your FaceTime with me. And I was like, really? Oh my God, we haven't seen each other. It was so wonderful. And I haven't talked to her in 25 years. And I was like, that's just so sad. She was such an inspiration for me. And, she said to me, she said, now you make sure that we're going to talk again in a month. And I was so delighted by picking up that old thread. I felt so renewed. I felt so attached to my old self,
Something between FaceTime and Zoom and all of this stuff we have now. I mean, Lesley, I've seen more of you while you're in New Orleans and I'm in Colorado.
Yes.
Over the past 10 years. Because
I love it.
You realize we've known each other 10 years now?
No. I didn't know we were old enough to know each other for 10 years. Is it 10 years? That's amazing.
Yeah, pretty much. It was before Jason got sick, and he's been, wow. 10 years almost.
Wow.
But the point is, we've spent more time together in this way.
Yeah.
As opposed to a big extravagant. When are you going to be in New York? Okay, but
and trying to meet up, and you got to get through the snow and find an Uber and blah, blah. This is so much better.
Love this. And I would also love, because, you and I have kind of wondered, like, are we doing this? Is anyone there? Does anyone want us to do, like, are we in service or entertaining or informative? And it's just us. And I don't feel like I'm an expert about pretty much anything other than my own mistakes in my life. I really would love to know from people, when we come back in January, should we come back? Do you want us back? Do you
What do
want
you want to talk about?
What do you want to talk about? Because the whole idea behind this before we go is Lesley and I've sat around just shooting the shit before and thinking, we're funny, we should be a show. We have a lot to say. And then we get on this thing and we're just talking to each other and we're kind of like, is this
Well,
dumb?
we got Susie Garland here talking. She says, I think that after this is over, we may look back on this time as an interesting time when families came together and it changed their relationship and brought them closer. We are blessed by this. I think a lot of people feel blessed by this time. And Nancy Ferrari, hi Nancy, how are you? She says respect is definitely needed. With that comes understanding and the ability to be present to one another. I have a wide range of generations in my family and learned just to listen. Conversations seem to go smoother that way. So we are at our half hour. We were keeping this to a half hour, guys. We would love to know. You can put the posts in the comment. What would you like us to talk about? We'll pop back in first week of January after the new year. And the good thing about Marla and I'm a researcher, so I'll go find research if you want research, or we can just chat it out. Whatever you'd like to hear from us, we're game. Marla can even do fashion police for you if you want.
Lesley does the substance. I do the jokes.
So Bonnie says, please come back. It's
about the subject.
Entertaining and illuminating. It's a great 30 minutes. Topic may be getting through dark days of winter as we await good weather again. Yes, that's why I moved to New Orleans, ladies. You'll all have to come visit when I do my trip to New Orleans for everybody.
Yeah, because some of us will show up at your door.
Cool. So anyway, much love to all of you. Have a happy, happy holiday. And remember, just try it. And I would love to hear what people find. Come back and tell us. Oh, and Catherine says she wants fashion police. And she wants to talk about fashion. I've got so many fashion stories. See, now if you really want to get into it, I can tell you all my secret stories I don't tell anybody from my editing. We could do that. When we come back,
all right,
we'll bring everybody back, and you and I will do a dishy, gossipy one. So everybody comes back first week of January. We'll tell out of school stories about who we've all worked with or for, and
dish.
We've got a lot to tell. All right, have a happy holiday. Big kiss, Marla. Love you.
In the new year.
Love everybody. Take care. Try that. Try really say, how are you really? I'd love to know how that worked.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Bye, Miss Marla.